Seriously, that was the best. The visuals are incredibly beautiful. The Sakuga is seriously amazing. I was moved. A wonderful episode. Dear staff, thank you for this godly anime. Yes, a new Pokemon series has just kicked off, and it's probably the most gorgeous piece of Pokemon animation ever crafted. Not to mention that it has a heartwarming story, slick character designs, and that it's doing one big thing we all needed. So let's talk about the Pokemon episode that left everyone speechless. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? You might know that in addition to the main anime series, I'm a big fan of Pokemon productions like Generations, Twilight Wings, Evolutions, the Poketoons, Path to the Peak, and any other polished projects that bring the Pokemon world to life in big ways. Each of these shows has tried to do something different from the main anime series. They tend to be more mature and atmospheric. And if you want to dig deeper into the characters and locations of the Pokemon world, then I recommend setting up time to binge every last minute of them if you haven't already, because we now have one more addition to the treasure trove in the form of Paldean Winds, or as it's called in Japanese, Hokago no Buresu, After School Breath. Both the English and Japanese titles reference the protagonist Ohara, who plays a wind instrument, but the Japanese title also gives us a sense of respite, refreshment, or breathing space that captures the spirit of the series perfectly. Either way, the miniseries is set for 4 episodes, and it could turn out to be the greatest Pokemon miniseries yet. So we are going to break down the first episode, why it was incredible, and why exactly it is such an important piece in the bigger Paldean puzzle. But first, if you want to help us crank out more videos, more art, and more backflips this fall, then please try out the game from today's sponsor Royal Match from my link below or the on-screen QR code. Royal Match is a match 3 puzzle game in which you help King Robert build and renovate his castle, and it's a great way to unwind from the stressful grind of adult life, especially since there are no in-game ads to interrupt your relaxation. Not to mention that it's free to play, it doesn't require the internet, and with thousands of levels, rewards, and events, the game has virtually endless variety, so it's perfect for a little me-time chill session whether you are at home or on the go. I've seen a lot of people playing Royal Match these days, and I've personally scourged way past level 100, so be sure to download Royal Match for free using the link in the description to try it out yourself, to have fun, and to see if you can actually catch up to me. Thanks again to Royal Match for sponsoring today's video, and with that said, it's back to today's chat. Episode 1 of Paldean Winds, Breathe Out, kicks off as 3 students at the academy in Mesagosa City are given an unusual task: to create a video capturing the essence of their school. One of these students is Ohara, a talented flutist known for her quiet nature. However, as the pressure mounts for an upcoming concert, she struggles to make a meaningful contribution to the video project. And when the stress finally gets the best of her, she uses the school's treasure hunt activity as an excuse to escape from the project and her band-related anxieties, running far, far away from her responsibilities. Together with her Fuecoco, she travels all the way to Glaciado Mountain, about as far from Mesagosa City as you can get, unless you buy the DLC. Basically, in addition to establishing the world feel, the episode explores Ohara's inner struggles and hints at a tense relationship with her father, who happens to be the one who taught her how to play the flute as well as the conductor in the upcoming concert in which Ohara will be performing a flute solo. In any event, she seems to be under a lot of stress and plans to end her own career by discarding her flute on the mountain. That is, until she runs into another guy with daddy issues and ends up saving him from a rampaging whale with legs by playing her flute to calm it down. The Setitan, that is, not Arvin. Not only does Fabio Jr. get to escape with his life, but the experience triggers a revelation that sends Ohara running back to the academy, as if all her worries had melted away in an instant. So I guess the message is that if you are having a tough time in life, just wander into the mountains and play wind instruments to dangerous animals. You'll feel better in no time. Jokes aside, Ohara's stress-induced meltdown and subsequent comeback are a good reminder of the fragility of mental health and how important it is to routinely take care of not just our bodies but also our minds. Particularly when it comes to the gradual buildup of stress, it's easy to have our vision fogged up by negative emotions and to lose sight of what is really going on in our lives. And because we can't see what's really going on, stressful situations can become distorted and appear as if they are larger than life and impossible to confront. That's when it's important to step out of frame to see both the situation and our reaction to it for what they really are. Whether we do this through a trip into the wilderness, meditation, or simply a breath of fresh air. Once we regain our perspective on what is real and what isn't, and the disconnect between our emotions and reality, a surprising variety of negative feelings can be punched through as if they were paper. Interestingly, the events of the episode don't actually unfold chronologically, so you do need to pay attention to piece everything together. But Ohara is an interesting character, and I'm curious to see how she might resolve her family issues, now that she has a better handle on her own well-being. Likewise, it will be interesting to see how her 2 friends, Aliquis and Homa, are developed. developed. Whereas Ohara is the artsy one, Aliquis seems to be into battles, and we're told that he has an upcoming duel with Nemona. And Homa is the classic geeky dude, so we will probably see him discover something interesting about Pokemon. We will have to wait and see, but for now, let's break down 2 reasons why Paldean Winds is such a gem. The first very obvious reason why Paldean Winds blew people away is the Sakuga. The animation was done by Wit Studio, the 3D work by Madbox. These companies have breathed life into Paldea like never before, and it has absolutely floored viewers. For comparison, as much as I love Twilight Wings, the big scene with the Corviknight in episode 7 was a bit spotty to say the least. But the 3D work in the fight scene featuring a Corviknight in Paldean Winds looks pretty darn good. And the quality of the animation in this episode probably surpasses that of any of the Pokemon movies. Also, many fans have expressed that the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video games would have hit much harder with voice acting. So it was fantastic to finally hear Arven talking, and I think that both his English and Japanese voices might surprise people. As for Nemona, we had already heard her chattering away in the Pokemon Horizons anime, but it was cool to see her voiced again in Paldean Winds, this time by a different voice actor. All in all, the voice work is solid, and the episode's music was done by none other than the man Kevin Penkin, so it's no surprise how good it is or how well it elevates the show's story beats and emotions. Not to mention that the original character designs are as cool as a cloister. Ohara and Aliquis, in particular, look like they dropped out of The Witch from Mercury, and Homa has a banana on his head. But beyond the wholesome story and stunning looks, Paldean Winds does one big thing we all needed. I'm obviously not alone when it comes to being a grown man with a soft spot for fantasy stories set in schools, and while I think these types of stories are appealing at any age, they really do hit different when you're older, because they stir up this nostalgia for those younger years you can never get back. Unless you're Mr. Kobayashi. And that's why I was so pumped up when it was announced that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet would be centered on life at a school in Paldea, because surely we were finally going to get Pokemon meets Harry Potter on a much larger scale than what we saw in Alola, right?
Wrong.
Instead, what we got were a few rooms strung together by a level select screen and a handful of optional classes. It was pretty disappointing. But now Paldean Winds is adding some much needed color to the missed opportunity that was the Academy of the video games. Particularly in the Nintendo Switch era, Game Freak's worlds have felt somewhat barren, vacuous, and lacking the rich feel of both older Pokemon games and various current competitors. And that's why I think both the main anime series and the various fantastic mini-series are practically mandatory viewing for Pokemon fans, because they just do so much to flesh out the untapped potential of the regions established in the games. Speaking specifically to Paldean Winds, we finally got a better taste of the school life in Paldea, and presumably the next 2 episodes will focus on the other 2 members of the trio, with the finale centered on the trio's presentation and how creating it transformed them. But how about you? What's your take on Paldean Winds, and what is your favorite Pokemon miniseries? By the way, not only is the Pokemon Horizons anime heating up these days, but part 1 of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Teal Mask, finally dropped, so are you enjoying it? I've been looking forward to experiencing the Japanese summer festival vibes over in Kitakami, and I think that the double DLC model has worked really well in making the wait between mainline Pokemon games much less unbearable. If you ask me, it's also an easier sell in 2023 than a full-priced 3rd version of the games with some additional content packed in, as much as I love the Battle Tower, and Looker, and things not being stupidly slow. And who knows, maybe we will get the 2 DLC packs followed by a bigger game like Legends Celebi in late 2024 or early 2025 to ease us into Generation 10. Anyways, let me know what you think of the Teal Mask. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful day.